Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. I want to make sure I see this family. Where are you, Henry? I'm sure they'll be coming into view. There they are. Henry and Henry's family gathered in your home. Shabbat Shalom. What a treat. What a blessing to be able to see that montage. I'm a big fan of photo montages. To see those pictures of you, Henry, growing up stage by stage, and now we see you in front of us, ready to become Bar Mitzvah. So I not only want to say Shabbat Shalom to your family, you and your parents and your brother, that I get to be up close and personal witnesses to this amazing moment. But I also want to say Shabbat Shalom to everybody who's watching. Friends and family of Henry. We have your grandparents who are watching, and relatives and friends. We have members of CRC who are tuned in because this is our Saturday morning service in this time of pandemic where we have to be in our own homes, but we've found a way to connect with one another, and really to anybody who has found us, who is looking for moments of holiness and inspiration. And you're going to get it today because of this wonderful young man. And that's really what you are, Henry. I've known you now. I didn't know you from way back, from the earliest of those pictures, but I knew you. You know, I was your Hebrew school teacher back in the early grade school years, and we spent an amazing year last year when you were in 7th grade, doing mitzvahs up until the spring, but doing mitzvahs and learning about the community and what it means to be a bar mitzvah. And so I think it's important for me to say, to recognize that, you know, Henry's original bar mitzvah date was back in March. And actually, we had to close the synagogue temporarily. We're still closed, but the decision to close was made on a Thursday, making sure we could keep everybody safe as possible. But the following Saturday was supposed to be Henry's bar mitzvah. And so they just had a day, this family and Henry, to sort of internalize the fact that the bar mitzvah had to be postponed. And Henry, you and your family responded in holy ways. I remember it, so well. There was food because you were planning your celebrations. A lot of food, as there should be in a celebration. And on a dime, you donated all that food to folks who are homeless and under-resourced, and especially at a time when the vulnerable amongst us were going to become more vulnerable, as we all became vulnerable. You did an amazing mitzvah. And you were ready for your bar mitzvah then. You actually made the cover of the Jewish Light with Rabbi Susan there, rehearsing for your bar mitzvah back in March. And you were ready then. I did a rehearsal with you as well. And you are ready now to become a bar mitzvah, to step up and lead this service and to teach us Torah and to inspire us and to give us hope in this difficult time. And so not only are all the people I mentioned here, but your rabbis are all here. Rabbi Karen and Rabbi Daniel, Rabbi Susan. I know you worked with Rabbi Jim. We are all here physically, but we are with you, Henry, and we are really looking forward to this service. And so we're going to begin with music, because music is part of Shabbat. And so we have a video. You can download the Siddur that Henry and his family really carefully put together, and it's updated since it was already put together in March. And you can download it if you go to the Center Reform Congregation website and go to live stream. It'll show you how to get the Siddur. So I'm going to announce page numbers. We're on page 2, and this is the morning prayer, courtesy of one of our musicians, Andrew Bollinger Modé. Moda Ani. Grounding you as you really on your own in many ways, like a bar mitzvah is supposed to be, becoming more independent as you lead this service and you chant and teach us Torah. So I'm going to ask your dad to come forward and present you with the talit, the prayer shawl that you will wear as you become bar mitzvah. A good photo op. You can open that up, Henry, and the talit has the fringes that represent the commandments, the mitzvahs, and so put that on. I'm going to trust that you're doing that. There you go. And you'll see, Henry, the blessing. Yeah, there you go. If you see the words of the blessing, that goes over your shoulders.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kigchanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu l'hidatech b'tzitzi.
Amen. You could put that around yourself. It looks great. Maybe, yeah, there you go. Straighten out just a little bit. There you go. You got it. Beautiful. Perfect. Love it. So, Henry, the next prayer is also a song courtesy of Andrew, and it's about the places, the sacred places in our lives. And we know that, the synagogue is one of those sacred places, but the original sacred place is the home, right? So the synagogue is called house of gathering because it's supposed to represent the best of our homes. And so you are at home and I'm at home and everybody is at their own home, sacred places, right? So this prayer says, may our homes be filled with generosity and good. Is filled with all of that, Henry. Because you're in your own homes, I want everyone to know that Henry is going to be leading the service in the traditional way, meaning he's going to tell us when it's traditional to stand and when it's traditional to sit, following the Siddur. But you all are in your own homes and you can do whatever feels comfortable. If you'd like to follow those sort of choreography directions, you may, but you get to decide on your own in the comfort of your own homes. And so, Matovu, Hine Matov, how good it is that we are here together, joined by the internet, to celebrate Henry's bar mitzvah. Continuing, Henry, on page 4.
Please chant together. Baruch Hu Adonai Hamorach. Baruch Adonai Hamorach. Wait, no.
It's all right, Henry. Baruch atah Adonai.
Eloheinu melech haolam she'asani b'tzalmo. Blessed are you, the eternal Lord God, who created me in your image. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'asani ben chorim. Blessed are you, the eternal Lord God, who has made me free. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'asani Yisrael. Blessed are you, the eternal Lord God, who has made me Israel. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Pokeach Ivrim. Blessed are you, the eternal Lord God, who opened the eyes of the blind. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, malbish arumim. Blessed are you, Adonai God, who writes clothes for the needy. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hanotein layach koach. Blessed are you, Adonai God, who gives strength to the weak. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher hechin mitzvah gaber. Blessed are you, the eternal God, who guides the steps of human beings.
Amen. Turning things over to Rabbi Karen.
Shabbat Shalom. Henry, I'm going to call the page number and let you jump in. We are on page 5 as we move from our morning blessings, our warm-up, into the Shema and its blessings, and it's separated by the Chatzi Kaddish. So whenever you're ready, Henry, go for it.
Yitgadal, Shmei Rabba, Zayamad Yirach, Yerotei, Be'emlik Malchutei, L'chayechon U'yomechon, U'chayedachu Beit Yisrael. Bagala, Ubizman Karim, V'imru Amen. Yehei Shmei Rabba Barach, L'lahu Ome'amaya, Yibarach, V'yishbach, V'yipar, V'yishmama, V'yitnaseh, V'yitadar, V'yitaleh, V'yithalal, Shmei Kudusha, V'yitchu, Le'ala Mincho, B'rkata, V'shirata, Tushbechata, V'nechemata, Damir, Adelma, V'imru Amen.
So Henry, we move into the Shema and its blessings, and I see this beautiful quote you have at the top of page 6.
Alone we can do so little, together we can do so much. Please rise as we call each other to prayer with the Baruch Hu.
Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach Baruch Adonai HaMevorach HaMevorach Le'olam Vared HaMevorach HaMevorach Le'olam Vared.
Whenever you're ready, Henry, go for it.
Well, I know myself as a creation of God. I am also obligated to realize and remember that everyone and everything else are also God's creations. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam yotzer or uvoreh choshech oseh shalom uvoreh et hakol hameir la'aretz v'ladarim aleha b'rachamim u'tuvo mechadesh bechol Yom tamid ma'asecha b'reshit ma rabu ma'asecha Adonai kulam b'chochma asiti mala haaretz kinenecha tidarach Adonai Eloheinu al shavach me'aseh yefer yadecha ve'al me'orei or she'asita yifarucha selah Baruch atah Adonai yotzer ha'morot. Together. Be praised our God, ruler of the universe, former of light, creator of darkness, maker of peace and creator of all things. In your mercy, light shines over the earth and upon all who inhabit it. For your goodness, the work of creation is daily renewed. How great are your works, O God, and his wisdom you have made all of them. The earth is filled with your creations. The work of your hands, O God, praise you, and the wondrous stars and planets of the skies glorify you. Praise be you, O God, creator of all the lights of the heavens. Darkness cannot drive out darkness, only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate, only love can do that. Much can be accomplished by teamwork when no one is concerned about who gets it right. Please join me in chanting the Shema. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
I'm going to jump in. Henry, you want to tell everyone what they should do now?
Please be seated.
So we are at the top of page 10 with the Ve'ahavta, and I had the privilege of working with Henry throughout some of his schooling in 6th grade. We were together when you were in 6th grade at the kibbutz. And it was so great to get to know you and to work with you. And when we got to the Ve'ahavta, I wanted to jump in because I've been listening to all of your beautiful quotes that you've shared with us this morning. And I know it speaks to who you are and what your values are. And the Ve'ahavta is all about living those values wherever we are, whether we're at home or whether we are out in the world. And I know this is an important value to you, Henry. And so I want you to go in and jump into the Ve'ahavta and let everybody else join with us as we celebrate your values and the values that we hopefully all hold so close to ourselves.
ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך ובביתך ולכתך בדרך ושופך וקומך וקשרתם לאות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך ובידבריך על מזוזות ביתך ובישעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים, אני אדוני אלוהיכם. Together. You shall love Adonai your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your might. Take to heart these words which I command you this day. Teach them diligently to your children. Speak of them when you are at home and when you are away, when you lie down and when you rise. Bind them as a sign on your hand and let them serve as symbols between your eyes. Inscribe them on doorposts of your house and on your gates. Remember to do all my commandments and to be holy to your God. I am your God who led you out of Egypt. Be your God, I am your God. I know that we are a people who have crossed many seas. In every service we remember that the price of freedom is often great as we sing the same words that our ancestors sang after crossing from slavery to freedom at the shores of another sea.
So we join together, singing Micha Mocha in the middle of page 11.
Michamocha ba'elim Adonai, Michamocha medapach kodesh. Michamocha ba'elim Adonai, Michamocha medapach kodesh. Nora tehilot oseh veleh. Nora tehilot oseh veleh. Siyaham ba'chuken yen cuencos, 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 siyaham ba'chuken yen cuencos. We are marching in the light of God. 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 We are marching. We are marching. We are marching in the light of God. We are marching. We are marching. We are marching in the light of God. Michamocha ba'elim Adonai, Michamocha medapach kodesh. Michamocha ba'elim Adonai, Michamocha medapach kodesh.
So we are moving into tefillah. This is our time to pray. There's this teaching that comes from our tradition that says if you're unable to pray in the synagogue, you pray in a field. And if you can't pray in a field, you pray from your house. And if you can't pray from your house, you pray from your bed. And if you can't do any of that, you pray with the words of your heart. So wherever you are, I hope you will join Henry in tefillah. Henry, you want to tell everyone what they should do?
Please rise.
And this beautiful quote. There you go.
People will not look forward to posterity who never look backwards to their ancestors.
Vaya sifatai tiftach ufi yagi tehilatecha havaya sifatai tiftach ufi yagi tehilatecha. Yada da da ya yada da 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 yada da da sanctuary for you.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu ve'Elohei Avotenu Imotenu Elohei Abraham Elohei Yitzchak ve'Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Leah Elohei Rachel Ha'el Hagadol Ha'gibor Ha'norah Eloyom Gomel Chasadim Tovim Mekonei Hakol Zocher Hasei Avot ve'Imahot U'Mevii Geula Libnei Bneihem U'Ma'an Shemo Ba'achado Melech Hoser Moshiach Magen Baruch atah Adonai Magan Abraham ve'Ezrat Sarah. Together. Holy One of blessing, you are God and God of our fathers and mothers, God of Abraham and Sarah, God of Isaac and Rebekah, God of Jacob, Leah, and Rachel. Great God, mighty God, awesome God, supreme God, who responds to acts of loving kindness, who possesses everything, and who, remembering with love the righteous deeds of our parents, brings redemption to the children of their children. Sovereign, helper, savior, protector, Holy One of blessing, shield of Abraham and of Sarah. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, אחרי הכל אתה רב להושיע, מחלחל חיים בחסד, בחיי הכל ברחמים רבים, תומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומכיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר, מי כמוך בעל גבורות, ומי דומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה ומטמיע ישועה, נאמן אתה לחיות הכל, ברוך אתה אדוני מחיה הכל. In our era, the path to holiness necessarily passes through the world of action.
So a beautiful, oh, there we go.
נקדש את שמך בעולם, כשם שמקדישים אותו בשמי מרום, ככתוב על יד נביאך, וכרזה אל זה ואמר, קדוש קדוש קדוש, אדוני צבאות, מלוכו בכל הארץ, ברוך כבוד אדוני ממקומו. אחד הוא אלוהינו, הוא אבינו, הוא מלכנו, הוא מושיענו והוא ישמיענו, ברחמיו לעיני כל חי. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, ימלוך אדוני לעולם, אלוהי ציון לדור ודור. הללויה, לדור ודור נגיד גודלך, ונצח נצחים קדושתך נקדיש, ושבחך אלוהינו מפינו לא ימוש לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש.
Please be seated. Anybody can observe the Sabbath, but making it holy surely takes the rest of the week.
So, Henry, we are on page 17.
ושמעו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורתם ולעולם. ושמעו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורתם ולעולם. בני ובין בני ישראל, אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם. ושמעו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורתם ולעולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ. ושמעו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורתם ולעולם. וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש. ושמעו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורתם ולעולם. ושמעו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורתם ולעולם, לדורתם ולעולם.
We are at the top of page 18, and we have two more wonderful quotes that Henry has picked out as we make our way towards the end of Tefillah, our prayer for peace. So, Henry, you see where we are?
Yes. The more grateful I am, the more beauty I see. Peace is not just the absence of conflict. Peace is the creation of an environment where all can flourish, regardless of race, color, creed, religion, gender, class, caste, or any other social markers of difference.
So we take a moment at the end of every Amidah, at the end of every prayer, to think about the gap. To think about the gap between the world as it is and the world as it is supposed to be. In Hebrew, this word that we have, shalom, which means hello, it means goodbye, and it means peace. It means at its core, wholeness. And I know you know this, Henry. I know from the time we have spent together, even the short time we've spent together, that you know this, that you know that the world is not the place that it is supposed to be, that we have not done the job of creating the world we were supposed to. But we have hope. We have hope that there will be just a little bit more shalom, a little bit more shalom, because of you and because of people like you. So we take a moment for a prayer for peace. Sim Shalom Tova Uvracha Sim Shalom Tova Uvracha Sim Shalom Sim Shalom Tova Uvracha Chen v'chesed Chen v'chesed v'rachamim Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael Amecha Sim Shalom Tova Uvracha Sim Shalom Tova Uvracha Sim Shalom Tova Uvracha Sim Shalom Tova Uvracha Shabbat Shalom.
Henry, you have done a beautiful job leading us so far. And as I have been a part of this service, I just love all these quotes you've picked out. So as we move into our silent prayer, we have 3 more wonderful meditations to think of. But feel free to look back through the Siddur at any of the quotes Henry and his family has picked out for us to learn from this Shabbat morning. So we'll take a moment for silent prayer, the prayer of our hearts.
We continue now with Rabbi Susan.
Hi, Henry. Thank you for this wonderful service. I think we all need this time to just reflect on Shabbat morning, and you're really giving us a Shabbos. I know sometimes in these days our days run together, and it's just so important for us to make sure that we recognize this sacred time of Shabbat, and you are doing that for us, so thank you. And now you're about to do the Torah service, this moment that makes you a Bar Mitzvah. And so to do that, we want to pass the Torah from generation to generation into your arms. I spent a little time with your mom talking about the generations, and I know you're going to hear from your grandparents, Sam and Esther. You're going to hear from your other grandparents, Gretchen and George in Texas. First one's in California. And I learned, and I think I knew this from practicing with you, that your grandparents on your father's side of the family, there are survivors. And so, you carry with you a really important story of our people. And as you know, when in other than COVID times, the Torah that we usually put into your arms, and I think we put into your brother's arms, is a survivor of the Shoah, is also a survivor of the Holocaust, like your grandparents are. And we use it because it's important for us at this time in your life to remind you of who we are, our story, both the painful parts of our story, but also the joyful part, which is what's represented by Torah, what's represented by surviving. And so in just a few minutes from your grandparents, Sam and Esther, we are going to pass into your arms this Torah and this tradition. And also from your grandparents, your mother's parents, Gretchen and your step-grandfather, George, who are in Texas. I know you've also received much Torah, much learning, much of who has helped you become the Henry that you are. And I also want to include your mother's father, Sam, who I imagine is who Sam is named for, of blessed memory. I hope you feel all of your grandparents standing there with you, and their parents and their parents. But before I ask your parents and your brother Sam to come forward and pass you this Torah, I also learned something else about you from your mom, and that is that you love mythology, and specifically the mythology of Dungeons and Dragons. So I did a little homework, Henry. I searched because, there's mythology in your Torah portion. Your Torah portion starts ki tetzeh, not if we're going to go to war, right? But when we go to war. Oh my God, what a horrible thing to think that war is inevitable. But then there's this mythological character at the end of your portion, this guy Amalek, right? Amalek, who is quintessential evil. Amalek, who, and when I was trying to read about all the Dungeons and Dragons mythological characters, they were all pretty dark, Henry. They were all pretty Amalek-ish, Isn't that right? Give me a nod. Isn't that true? They kind of are. They're all kind of dark. They're all kind of Amalek, And what we say is, and I think this is probably true, that Amalek is inside of us, and it's up to us to blot out that evil inclination within us. And maybe that's why mythology is so important, because not only does it remind us that, that there is evil in the world, right? Bad things happen. it also puts it on us to do something about it. And so I did come up with a hero that I want to put in the line of tradition with your grandparents and your parents and your brother. And what I learned was that they also kind of mythologize the human, right? In Dungeons and Dragons, isn't the human also one of the creatures, right? And what does it say about the humans? It says the humans are the innovators, the humans are the achievers, and the humans are the pioneers. Your mom also told me that you love Marvel comic books. So do I. Because these are ordinary humans that get superhuman powers. And I think that's what we hope for you. Standing on the shoulders of really quite the amazing story that is yours, upon the shoulders of your father's people and upon the shoulder of your mother's people, Henry. You become that antidote to this Torah portion. You become that superhero, that human that is an innovator, an achiever, and a pioneer as well. So I'm going to ask your parents to join you up there with your brother, Sam. Are they there? There we go. The wonderful human that you are at this moment, from your father to your mother, to your big brother who held this Torah not too long ago, not a bigger Torah, different Torah, but held the Torah, and to you, my dear, so that you can add your voice now, your superpower voice, your human voice, your wonderful voice that takes us out of the realm of mythology and makes it real for us, so that we can be the best we can be. And if you get this and you accept this charge as becoming a bar mitzvah to add your voice to the Torah, please lead us in the words of the Shema. Ready? Shema Yisrael
Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad
Adonenu Adonenu Kadosh Shemo. Beautiful.
Henry, I'm going to ask your parents, your brother, to help you uncover the Torah. After we've put it into your arms, your family put it into your arms. Beautiful. There you go. And then if you can unroll that Torah and find your spot in that scroll. You see it? Tell me when you see it, Henry. Got it?
I got it.
Awesome. So Henry, so here's what we got to talk about just for a second, just to make sure everyone's on the same parchment, so to speak. What I want to say is that your Torah portion is from the book of Exodus, right? Because back in March, we still in the book of Exodus. Time has gone on. And actually, we're now finishing the Torah because we're getting close to the high holidays, which we'll talk about in just a little bit. You'll talk about in just a little bit. But we get to go back to Exodus because we wanted to make sure you kept that Torah portion that was so important to you, that you studied and that you kind of internalized, you made yours. And so even though it's August, almost September, it's Elul, and your Torah portion is from March. We get to revisit. We didn't get to hear you chant the Torah back in March, and so now you're going to do it. And so I wanted to just make sure everyone knew that it was the portion Ki Tisa, that Henry is going to chant and talk about in a moment. If you want to follow as he chants, page 21 is where you have the Hebrew, a little bit like the Hebrew, right, Henry, that's in the Torah, but there's one difference. What's the big difference about the Hebrew and the Torah?
Vowels. In Torah, there are no vowels.
That is right. So back in the really ancient days when they first wrote the Torah down, they hadn't invented vowels yet. And so now when we make Torahs, even the 21st century, we continue that ancient way of not putting the vowels into the Torah. So it's kind of like learning Hebrew twice, isn't it, Henry? You learn it with the vowels, in Hebrew school. And then when it comes time for Bar Mitzvah, getting ready and education and tutoring and training, you have to learn how to read Torah Hebrew. We at home get to see the version with vowels. So those people that know Hebrew, that helps us. But Henry's has the challenge of reading right from the scroll without the vowels. And I think it's a good time to mention your tutors, Henry. You've had a lot of great teachers, school teachers and religious school teachers, but specifically you worked with Rabbi Jim and with Toby, right, to really get ready for this moment where you are stepping up to the bima, the home bima, and allowing us to hear words of Torah on Shabbat. And so we want you to feel the love and support of the people in your life as you do this really amazing mitzvah, as you rise to this challenge. And so we're going to have blessings surrounding your chanting. The first blessings are going to come via video. People that love you and that you love that couldn't be here with you in your home for the bar mitzvah, but are with us right now live. But they made videos, so we're gonna see your grandparents, two of your grandparents, Poppy and Grandma, are going to do the blessing before, and then you're going to chant your first, hear your Aunt Dara do the blessing after the first Aliyah. So I'm going to call them all to the Torah, and first we're going to hear the blessing from your grandparents. So it goes like this. Ya'amdu Aliyah l'Torah Shlomo ben Shimon ve'Esther bat Moshe v'Dara bat Shlomo ve'Esther Aliyah Rishonah.
Baruch et Adonai and Barak. Baruch Adonai and Barak le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
ויהי כאשר קרב אף מחנה וירא את העגל ומחולות ויפר אף משה וישלח מידיו את הלוחות וישבר אותם תחת ההר ויקח את העגל אשר עשו וישרוף באש ויבחן עד אשר דק ויזר על פני המים ויעש את בני ישראל חטאה גדולה.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Did you get to see them, Henry? Did you see your grandparents and your aunt? That's pretty cool. Giving blessings from all over the place. So the second Aliyah, however, Henry, is going to happen right in your house, because this is the inner circle, right? Your quarantine, your family. So I want to ask your dad and your mom and your brother to return to surround you and embrace you and to give the blessing for the second Aliyah. I'm going to first call you guys to the Torah, and then you can go ahead and do the blessing before. Ya'amdu Adam ben Shlomo ve'Esther ve'Andrei bat Samuel of blessed memory and Gretchen ve'Lev Shmuel ben Adam ve'Andrei Aliyah l'Torah. Your awesome family.
Baruch et Adonai haBara, Baruch Adonai Habarak Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam Asher Bahar Banu Mikol Ha'amim V'natan Lanu Et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
ויאמר אהרון אל יחרף אדוני אתה ידעת את העם כי פרקו ויאמרו לי עשה לנו אלוהים אשר ילכו לפנינו כי זה משה האיש אשר העלנו מארץ מצרים לא ידענו מה חיה לו ויאמר לכם מזהב יפרקו וילי וישלחו באש ויצא העגל הזה.
And the blessing after.
Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam Asher Natan Lanu Torah Temet V'Hayei Olam Natan Bezoheinu Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen. Amen. So let's have Samuel. Why don't you have a seat and let your Henry, your mom and dad, stay up there so they can be the up close witnesses to you, Henry, being called to the Torah as a bar mitzvah. This is you've been chanting Torah since you started, but this is also your aliyah. And really, technically or traditionally, it's being called to the Torah that makes you a bar mitzvah. You learned even more. You learned how to chant from the Torah, and later you'll see the Haftorah and to give a Devar Torah. But this is the heart of it, being called to the Torah. So this is the first time, Henry, you'll be called to the Torah as a bar mitzvah. I hope that there'll be other moments we'll be able to call you up to the Torah as you continue on this journey. But I'm going to call you to the Torah with your Hebrew name. And it's an awesome Hebrew name, Henry. It's Chaviv. And I know that it has very special resonance with your family. But the word Chaviv, the name Chaviv, do you know what it means? It means dear, D-E-A-R, that you're a dear one. You know, that and you are, Henry. You really are. I know to the people who love you, but to your community, and you're a dear one in the world. You really are. And you in seventh grade last year, you're a peacemaker. That's what's dear about you. You really want to make sure everyone is okay and feeling okay and doing okay. I noticed that about you, the compassion and the way you observed how people were doing was just really very special. And so you are a dear one. I won't embarrass you anymore by saying that anymore, but you are Chaviv. And you know that your Hebrew name carries the name of both your mom and dad. So when you have a Hebrew name, it's always the son of or the daughter of, in the case of a girl, your parents' names. And so you carry them with you. You carry your ancestors with you. And you also have that very special part of you that's just Henry, that's just you. And it is an honor to be one of your rabbis and to be able to call you to the Torah. We're not too far. I'm not too far from you. I live, a hop, skip, and a jump from you. So I feel like I'm really close. And you've been doing a great job chanting. You're going to finish up your Torah chanting after you do your blessing. So I'm going to call you to the Torah as a bar mitzvah. Ya'amod Chaviv ben Adam va'Andre Aliyah l'Torah Bar HaMitzvah.
Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMborach, Baruch Adonai HaMborach L'Olam Va'ed, Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam, Asher Bachar Banu Mikol Ha'amim, V'natan Lanu Et Torato, Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah. וירא משה את העם כי פרעוהו, כי פרעו אהרון לשמצה בקמיהם. ויעמוד משה בשער המחנה, ואמרו מה לאדוני ויאספו אליו כל בני לוי. ויאמר להם כה אמר אדוני אלוהי ישראל, שמעו חרבו על ירכו, ועברו ושובו משער לשער במחנה, ירגו איש את אחיו ואיש את רעהו ואיש את קרובו. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. And Mazel Tov. That was just awesome. Yasher Koach. Get some nachas, some love from your parents. Come on, let them show you their pride. Just a beautiful, beautiful job. Poised. If you guys would help Henry put that Torah back in its cover, and we'll continue with the Torah service. So as they work on that, the next thing that's going to happen is Henry is going to chant his Haftorah. Oh, actually, no. Before we do that, we have a healing prayer. We have a healing prayer. We always make sure after we hear the words of Torah, we believe that the heart of the world is opened for healing, and we certainly need healing right now in the world, in our nation, in St. Louis. We have obviously a pandemic, and people are suffering and ill and lonely and scared, and we want to pray for the healing of everybody. We do have some people that we've been praying for as a congregation. I'd like to mention some of their names. We're praying for Jerry Joyce, Felice's husband. We're praying for Meredith Berkowitz. We're praying for Shirley Gershon, Bob Gershon's mom, and also for Gail Hollyfeld, Jill's mother. Also, we've been praying for Specialist Evan Richards, who was deployed to Iraq. Please feel free to add names at home of the people you're praying for as we reach back and say, may the one who blessed our ancestors with healing continue to teach us how to be agents of healing for those who are ill. So this is the Misha Barak prayer, and again, Andrew will lead us in the healing prayer.
Source of strength, who bless the ones before us. Help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. We shall those need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Rofei HaOlim.
Andrew and Leslie, through the magic of technology, singing together. It's so nice to hear their voices harmonizing again, especially for a prayer for healing. I want to add just a few other names. We're praying for Debbie Zarensky and Dr. Richard Burns, and for Toby Schreiber, Annette's sister, and for a newborn baby, Everly Ray Behrman, and for Corinne Shar. Also, for Eileen Ehrlich, our dear friend and Saturday morning regular, who just sort of commented, watching live, that we should offer prayers for her, and we will, and we'll also check up on you, Eileen. So as Leslie said, Baruch Atah Adonai Rofei HaCholim. So Henry, are you over there and ready? Go back to Henry's house, because is now the Torah has been put away, and we're on pages 24 and 25. So Henry, you're going to do the blessing before your Haftorah, and then chant your Haftorah from the first book of Kings, and then the blessing after the Haftorah, and then we'll and then really what you can do right from the blessing after the Haftorah, Henry, is take a deep breath and give us your commentary, your Devar Torah, the words that come from you that were inspired by this whole journey and what it means to you and what you want to teach to all of us, your virtual online congregation that is so in awe of you as you become Bar Mitzvah. So go ahead with the first blessing.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar b'nbi'im tovim, ratza v'dibrehem הנאמרים באמת. ברוך אתה אדוני הבוחר בתורה ומשה עבדו וישראל עמו ומנביאי האמת והצדק. ויאמר מילאו 4 כדים מים ויזכו על העולה ועל העצים. ויאמר שנו ויאמר שלשו וילכו המים סביב למזבח גם את התלה מלא מים. ויהי בעלות המנחה ויגש אליהו הנביא ויאמר אדוני אלוהי אברהם יצחק וישראל היום יוודע כה אתה אלוהים וישראל ואני עבדך ובדבריך עשיתי את כל הדברים האלה. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, צור כל העולמים, צדיק בכל הדורות, האל הנאמן האומר ועושה, המדבר ומקיים, שכל דבריו אמת וצדק, על התורה ועל עבודה ועל הנביאים ועל יום השבת הזה שנתת לנו אדוני אלוהינו לקדושה ולמנוחה לכבוד ולתפארת על הכל. אדוני אלוהינו אנחנו מודים לך ומברכים אותך זוכר הסייבות יתברך שמחו בפיתו חי תמיד לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השבת.
Awesome. Great job. And now your commentary, Henry. We're all waiting to hear.
In my Torah portion of Kitisa, which is in the book of Exodus, Moses is on the mountain speaking face to face with God and receiving the laws. While he was on the mountain, the ancient Jews, then called the Hebrews, created an idol, a golden calf to worship instead of communicating to God through Moses. Seemed to forget God who took them out of Egypt in the first place. When Moses came back from the mountains, he was furious at them, and in his rage he had smashed the tablets of the 10 Commandments, destroyed the golden calf, and forced the people to drink the powdered gold. Because of their action, the Hebrews were forced to wander the desert for 40 years, even though they were easily within reach of the promised land. Moses later went back up the mountain to renew the covenant and regain the 10 Commandments. Under the new covenant, the children of that next generation were delivered to the promised land. From this story, I would like to offer this insight. It's common to be punished after doing something wrong. In fact, it's expected. When the Jews worshiped the golden calf, they were banned from the promised land, a punishment. Punishment is only helpful if it leads to a positive outcome, or at least the possibility of one. In the Torah portion, though the people were not given the land God had promised, their children were able to enter the Hebrew. The Hebrews must have learned their lesson, regained their faith, and passed on those teachings to the next generation who did receive God's blessing. This very harsh punishment ended up leading to a redemption. At the same time, Moses and God made the punishment from a place of anger. Anger tends to cloud judgment, which affects our actions negatively. Although the people deserve to have some consequences, I believe that the punishment went overboard because of Moses' emotions. If a punishment is made out of anger, then the punisher themselves must seek redemption. People often get angry if someone does something that negatively affects them. But if they act out of anger, it will only end in the situation being worse. The step after that is for the person who made the punishment out of anger to attempt to correct their behavior through changing how they respond in the future. The instance of Moses after the golden calf incident did not give up on the people. He continued to lead them towards the promised land, and he continued to give them guidance. These themes of negatives being redeemed to positives are important in the Jewish high holidays. On Yom Kippur, Jews are asked to look back onto our negative behaviors of the past year. We think about things we're sorry we said and actions that we feel regretful. The idea then is to try to atone for those things by forgiving others and asking others to forgive us, changing our negatives into something more positive and holy. During this time, we focus on Shabbat Morning, the accounting of the soul. This process lets you review, reflect on your past problems, and open a new chapter in your life. This allows people to have closure and make sure they turn their negative actions into positives. It's hard work, but you bring a new beginning. That way, at the very start of the Jewish New Year, you have a chance to act on the changes that our Shabbat Morning helped us realize we needed. While you don't see many golden calves around today, people still make mistakes and take the wrong path, being greedy. At the same time, there's still people who overreact and act out of anger, which makes what happened far worse. It is prevalent all throughout modern culture. This is my Torah portion, but also exists in a lot of movies and TV shows and even all stories in modern days. For example, in the Marvel movies, Iron Man is at first a greedy billionaire. But over time, he goes through a character change. He goes through character development. He becomes a person who's willing to sacrifice himself for the greater good. This is mirrored in a slightly larger way by Moses when he goes back up the mountain so that the Jews could have the laws they needed to build a good society. Even in my own life, I've acted out of anger, albeit in a much smaller way. For example, when I was playing board games with my family, I got angry at my brother because he cheated. I didn't want to play, I stormed off, I acted irrationally, but I realized that wasn't going to make it better and that it wasn't going to make me feel better either. Later we played again, and I tried not to act out of anger, and everyone had realized that it wasn't a great time before. And that time, it was much better for everyone. It went well. My decision to take a second chance without getting angry led to a better outcome. Moses smashing the tablets was an incredibly dramatic scene. However, I do not believe that it was anger that made things better. The situation improved after a much quieter moment. Moses returning to the mountain to receive an unbroken set of commandments. This was Moses' Shabbat Morning, realizing that not only did the people need atonement and redemption, but so did he. This is a lesson from the Torah that all of us can use in our own lives.
Henry, Chaviv, amazing. How do you feel? Feel good?
A little out of breath, but good.
Well, you've been using a lot of breath, but it's been the word in Hebrew for breath is the same word for spirit, ruach. So your breath, your words have been filled with ruach, really filled with spirit. And, in particular, I want to talk to you about your commentary, Henry, because I know something that I think maybe other people aren't sure of, because back in March when you were going to have your Bar Mitzvah, you already had the high holidays in your commentary, didn't you? Right?
Yes.
It wasn't, yeah. Because you saw the connection between the redemption from the idol worship of the golden calf story, right? From your portion, that there had to be redemption, and you made the connection between the redemption from that story and one of the major ways that the Jewish people seek redemption during this season that's called the Days of Awe, the high holidays. Little did we know back in March, or even way back when we started working together on your Devar Torah, that you would actually be giving this commentary just weeks before the actual high holidays. I've been thinking about that a lot, Henry. Like, I'm not sure what to make of it, and I go back and forth between being mystical about it and not. But something's really special about that it would have been great for you to have talked about high holidays in the spring, but now, we really feel those days coming. You talked about Cheshbon HaNefesh, the accounting of the soul. That is the work of now. This month, before Rosh Hashanah and before Yom Kippur, we're supposed to do just what you said. We're supposed to reflect and look within and try to figure out ways that we messed up so that we can be better, And so I'm just amazed that these words you started writing a year ago, or maybe longer, are being spoken. We're being spoken by you right at the moment and the season where they were most appropriate. And so you have given us a perfect Elul teaching this month that we're supposed to really figure out, how to be better people and how to make a better world. And so you said going from negative to positive, right? And you did that back in March when you found out your bar mitzvah had to be postponed and you gave all your food away to the hungry. We're always working to take the negative and try to make it positive, and especially now, such a challenging time. And you've done that by having this bar mitzvah. Every one of us who is watching you, I know, feels better and more hopeful and more inspired. So thank you, Henry. Thank you for being, having patience and strength and courage and sticking with this. And now you're a bar mitzvah. You'll always be a bar mitzvah. And I really look forward to you taking all of what you've learned and all of what you've done and bringing it into your life as you go forward as a teenager, right? Now you're an 8th grader. How's 8th grade so far?
Pretty good.
Henry? Not bad. I know it's online and all that stuff, so it's hard. It's different, but you'll get there. Good. I'm glad. You deserve it. And then as an adult, so I want to offer you a blessing. I haven't done this yet on online bar mitzvahs, so I'm going to sing to you Shehechiyanu, because this has been a really special moment for me, for everyone watching, and especially for your family. You, Henry, you have become bar mitzvah, a son who we are so proud of. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehecheyanu v'kimanu v'higianu lazman hazeh. Amen. Blessed is the Holy One, presence fills creation, who gave us our lives and who kept us alive and who brought us to Lazman Hazeh, this very special moment, Henry, where we all witnessed you becoming a bar mitzvah. Amen and Mazel Tov. And so we want to make sure, Henry, that you feel how proud we are of you, meaning the congregation that you are a part of. We love having your family being part of CRC. And so we have a member of our board of directors. His name is Paul Wagman, and he is going to offer you gratitude and blessing and also talk about some gifts that we're about to give you. I got to mention that Paul, I think tonight, is celebrating the wedding of his daughter, Jocelyn, who grew up at CRC too and who became bat mitzvah at CRC. So as you watch Paul, know that he is having a simcha just like you are having a simcha. So this is Paul Wagman.
Henry, we're now coming to what I like to think of as the emotional climax of any bar mitzvah, which is the presentation by a member of the board to the bar mitzvah. On behalf of the board, I want to congratulate you for this achievement. It's an outstanding achievement, and one that we hope will feel meaningful to you for the rest of your life. On behalf of the board, we have planted 2 trees in Israel in honor of your bar mitzvah. 1 tree in Israel, 1 tree actually in the West Bank in an Arab community. And the planting of these trees has a lot more significance than one might think, and certainly represents a significant change since I was a bar mitzvah, which was, as you can see, a long time ago. When I was a kid, we planted 1 tree in Israel, and we hoped it would help Israel bloom. Today, we plant a tree both in Israel and in the West Bank as an expression of our hope for peace between these 2 communities. Trees also have come to mean more than just making the desert bloom. They're now a part of preserving the planet. They play an important role, as you know, in absorbing greenhouse gases. And so I think in a way they stand for Judaism itself. We plant them for their immediate purpose, which is indeed to make the desert bloom, to make Israel and the West Bank prosper, but for this larger purpose, for the whole planet. Likewise, we observe our Jewish traditions to make our own lives better, but we also want our values to help make the whole world a better place. And part of our hope for you is that you embody those values and help make this world a better place. So, Henry, on behalf of the board, we present you with this tzedakah jar, which we hope you'll use to good effect, and we congratulate you once again on your wonderful achievement today.
Come say thank you.
You also have a certificate that says you've become a bar mitzvah, and that those trees that Paul talked about have been planted. So mazel tov from all of us. I speak for everybody to let you know how getting to the conclusion of this service. Henry, your job is becoming a bar mitzvah done, but we've got some more of the service to go, and people are here partly also because it's a Shabbat service. And so if you'll turn everyone to page 27, I'm going to chant the Aleinu L'Shabeach, a prayer that many people know, and that lets us take all the prayers and all the wisdom that we've shared today, that Henry shared today, and make sure it's part of Tikkun Olam, of making the world a better place. Aleinu L'Shabeach Ladon HaKol, Latei Gedolah Liotzer Breshit, Shelo Asanu Kigoy Ha'aratzot, V'lo samanu ki mishpachot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkenu kahem, v'gor aleinu ki chohamonam, v'anachnu korim, u'mishtachavim u'modim, lifnei melech malchei hamlachim, hakadosh baruch hu, shehu notei shamayim v'yosed aretz, u'moshav yikaro b'shamayim mima'al, u'shchinat uzo, Bigov he meromim, hu Eloheinu ein od, emet malkeinu efezulato, kakatuv betorato, v'yadata hayom v'hashivota, elivavecha, ki Adonai, hu ha-Elohim, b'shamayim mima'al, ve'al haaretz, mitachat ein od, v'ne'emar, V'haya Adonai, v'melech al kol haaretz, bayom hahu, yeh Adonai echad, u'shemo echad. Amen. do just really one announcement that those of you who live close to CRC, we are collecting school supplies for under-resourced children who are just starting school, like Henry is just starting school, and you can drive over to CRC with new or gently used, I guess, school supplies anytime between noon and 2, and there will be members of CRC to collect those school supplies and to make sure they go to appropriate places and people. So if you are able to do that this afternoon, they'll be wearing masks, and you can wear a mask, and you don't even have to get out of your car. I think just bring over the school supplies. So that would be a big mitzvah, and I hope many of you can participate in that. Otherwise, we are continuing with adult education and services leading up to eventually, as Henry pointed to, Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. So, Henry, of course, we want to make sure that we save some time at the end of the service for moments of remembrance. So if you can tell us on page 28 some of the people that you and your family are remembering, we want to make sure that their memories at this wonderful service are a blessing.
I would like to remember my great-grandparents, Simon, Vega, Drac, and Adele, who survived the Holocaust and immigrated to the United States to allow me to be here today. I would also like to honor the memory of my mother's father, Samuel Alexander Denny, who is with us in spirit, and my grandmother's brother, Henry, whose name I am proud to share. Wow.
So I'm going to add just a few names, and then I'll stand up and we'll all say Kaddish together. Want to say we have some yahrzeits, anniversary of the deaths of wonderful Scott Williams and Sidney Platke, Stan's dad, who still kind of through Stan gives us such great spirit. For Harold Spiegelglass and Dustin Twellman, a young man. I remember Rabbi Susan and I. It was right before Slichot that he passed away, and miss him to this day. Louise Mendel, the mother of Lisa, just a year ago. Rita Wexler, Gail's mom, and Joseph Wexelman Sr., the father of Joe Wexelman, and Speedy Altman, father of Sally Altman and the founder of Camp Thunderbird. And then I want to say a few more names of some recent deaths. I wanted to say the name of Charles Kindberger, who was a member of First Unitarian Church and an activist, good friend of many members of CRC, including Karen Flatty. Charles, I last saw him right before the quarantine at a meeting about climate change. And really just one of those people who really cared about the world, and we're mourning his loss. For Stan Zerman, for Jerry Brown, Rich Amaker, for Carolyn Harvath and Jerome Schneider, for Sidney Feiner and Kent Huffman and Norman Roth, Charlotte Futterman and Jan Nelson, for Marvin Koski and Fran Hyman, Ann Barbara Schifrin and Molly Frolickstein, Catherine Goldstein and Clarence Shelley, for Libby Greenbaum, Sheila's mom, and Gil Nussbaum, Linda's husband, and Lillian Eichen, and Lily Atkinson, and Shirley Sewell, a wonderful member of CRC, and we think about her and her husband, her late husband, Herb, during the high holidays especially, but all the time. Harvey Weiss and Claire Kroll, Bonnie Levins, relative to many, many, many of our members, the Levins and Seawack family, and Lou Osheroff, and Jackie Poltman, who was the father of Paula Kessler, who I know is watching this service, and Brian Poltman. There, if you're a CRC member, you've got an email with all the names of people who have passed away this past year. So you can look at that list. You can say the name out loud wherever you are. And I'm going to stand up. And there we go. On page 28, this is Kaddish. May all of their memories be a blessing. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah. Be'alma divra kirotei v'yamlich malchutei. V'chai echon v'yom echon. Uv'chayei dechol beit Yisrael. V'agala uv'izman kari v'imru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mivarach le'olam olmei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yithadar v'yithaleh v'yithalal shmei dekudesha b'richu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata. Tush bechata v'nechemata da'amiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehi shlam Rabbah min shemaya v'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imru amen. Yahaseh shalom, Yahaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yahaseh shalom, Yahaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Zikronam levracha, may all of their memories forever be a blessing. Amen. So Henry, just a little bit more to go. We've got some blessings for you. We heard from your grandparents, your father's parents during the Aliyah. And now we're going to hear from your other grandparents, Mimi and Bobby, who are going to, I guess, in Texas, is what Rabbi Susan said. And so I think that's true. And they, that we're going to all watch together. So this is your Mimi and Bobby.
Right? Congratulations. You've worked hard and you've waited for a very long time. We are so proud of you.
We celebrate you as you begin this part of your life's journey. We love you. Mazel tov.
Oh, beautiful. What a love that blessing. I love the Texas Mazel Tov, right? That's great. Texas. Henry, right? Texas?
Yeah.
Well, tell your grandparents. Tell them they were great. We've got another blessing for you, this time live and in person. This is from your mom and dad, Adam and Andre. And I just want to say really quickly, you know, there's different ways I get to know people from CRC. But often I get to know parents through their kids. And because of your brother Samuel and you, I got to know your mom and your dad, and they are very special people. And I really, I value and treasure my relationship with them through great times and challenging times. And so I just want to honor your family. And now you get to hear words from your parents.
Henry, I am so proud of you today and every day. As you have grown up, the word that has been so recurring that it bears mentioning is your enthusiasm. Teachers, friends, and family have always commented how enthusiastic you are to learn, to grow, and to share with others. Your enthusiasm for learning and living makes life better for all of those around you. I have to add an additional word. Throughout this Bar Mitzvah process, you have shown great resilience. As news began to roll in that one person